Welcome to the Kinjaz Podcast. Here we will discuss dance, life, and whatever the we want.
Folks, welcome back or welcome to Kinjaz Movement in the Shadows. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm Anthony.
That was the beat right there. Today we have some friends in the pod. We have a powerhouse collective of individuals who are committed to see that no soul goes unfed. We got Homey made meals in the pod. They are a 100% people-powered initiative with volunteers from all over Southern California to prepare, deliver, and serve homemade meals, partnering with shelters and coalitions that are committed to serving our communities. With the combined forces of Polo's Pantry and Eayikes, shout out Eayikes, they are making real life-giving impact in our communities. We have Sonia Park, Ray Rickefort in the pod.
Bam, 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 bam.
We here. You are now unlocked. You are now unlocked. Guys, how you guys doing? How you guys feeling?
Good. How you feeling,
little
Sonia?
toasty?
You good? Yeah.
How you feeling, Sonia?
Hey, cheers.
Hey,
cheers.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ray with water.
You can burp it out. Yeah, go
And
for
Sonia got the dirty water.
So there was actually a lot in there real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, he said both like homey made meals and Eayikes. Just real quick for everybody out there, like what is Eayikes? What is homey made meals? And like your in general, your story and how you got there and how just the origins, I guess, right? That's how Ben always starts.
Give it
The
to
origins.
us.
The origins.
Yeah. So EIKS is essentially like we're a nonprofit, and it's all built around finding healing, belonging, and empowerment for all people. So we use community to do that, and so we actually started in 2013 as like a youth camp. So we started. Mike, I think Mike was at the first one. Anthony was.
I was
at the
at the
first
first
one.
one.
Yeah, we're
Too,
both at
yeah.
the first one in Long Beach, and it was using arts to bring kids from. I was at a continuation school in Long Beach, and then Uni was working at a school in LA, and so it was dope because it was actually kids from like different backgrounds and just kind of finding. There's also roots in shout out to UCI. We did SPOP together. We all did SPOP.
That's
And so
that.
I think
Zat.
that influence of inclusivity and the concept of like using your energy to make people feel welcome, to feel empowered, to feel like you're good in your skin and who you are was really the basis of what we did everything with. And so we did camps for about 4 years, just youth camps. And we started going out into nature and just taking these dynamics of taking kids away from their everyday lives and kind of like their stimulus, their families, and putting them in a space that we got to create and just go buck wild or just like act a fool with them, but then really like dig deep into their lives, their stories. And so we did that till 2017. And we moved up to LA, and then we started doing like adult events and like community within the adults, and like just really focused on empowering people to do things in their community, you know, because when you belong, right? Like I'm sure everybody in Kinjaz is, when you belong, there's something that gets unlocked, right? That weight or like that support, that platform just uplifts you to really find those things where you can contribute. And so we were doing that in 2017, and then the pandemic happened, and then I'm sure everybody was questioning what we were gonna do and the uncertainty, and then
So before we get there, because there's still so much to unpack, even that
We
very first
can't
thing.
jump to
Okay.
the pandemic
go,
yet.
No, that was
Yeah.
great though.
Okay.
I think it's huge because like without indirectly talking shit to anybody else in the world, I think we always talk about like belonging, and there's this kind of like both direct indirect relationship, whether it's like belonging to our crew or belonging to a church or belonging to this or this or that. But I feel like something that's so underrated but so valuable is like for real cultivating that feeling of belonging for people that maybe don't have those spaces. Yes. And I feel like Eayikes did such an amazing and impactful job actually doing that, really, really creating a space so that people could belong, especially if they didn't belong somewhere. You know what I mean? And that's a very, very powerful thing to recognize. That's one of the catalysts of why you're even, we really want to bring you guys on here to share a part of that. So that's such a huge foundation to like, you know what I mean? What I mean is just so powerful in the entire movement. And I just want all of our listeners out there to know that. And you had mentioned Uni. Uni is a dude named Alex Yoon. Shout out to the homie Alex Yoon. He's also
Pew, 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 pew.
pew 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 pew. He's also in partnership with y'all. We all went to UCI. You mentioned SPOP. That's the incoming freshman orientation program that we all came together to represent different just identities that UCI had to offer, so that we can be a positive example for incoming freshmen. So all of that energy comes to kind of like what has funneled into the creation of the brilliancy of what EIKS and its power is, and now you can continue with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's also
Yes,
in there.
Kyle
third.
Deneen.
Kyle
Kyle
Deneen.
Deneen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a
Third.
question. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the inception of creating something like this, we
Yeah.
all know that, yeah, it's like, everybody's searching for community, but
Yeah.
was there a sort of like genesis of a conversation or something that
Yeah.
was like, hey, we should serve this need? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I think we were in education, so working in education, and then the idea came from, we had been doing like community parties, and then just a call of like, is there some, like, what else can we do outside of when you bring people together and it's every weekend, but is there a purpose to it? And I mean, it started with an idea with conversations, and then I actually had a sabbatical from my job right around the time we made the camp, but we literally started it, and like the people power just carried it, and people were like, I'm down with this, like, then you hit up Anthony, you hit up Mike, and they're like, I'm down with this, like, we can teach this, we can do this, and this just kind of collective of community, that people power, which is obviously the theme of community and building the belonging. And then we found it was literally reaching out to people with the idea and like really being open to asking for the help or asking for the support. We did a party at King, and then shout out to Culture Shock. Kinjaz was there too on the stage. Like, that's literally the starts of it, right? Which people, y'all with networks, y'all with pull and talents and gifts that we didn't have anything, right? It was like, we have this idea, and to be supported from that, right? It's at the very root and the core of what we do. So therefore it's like, it's forever perpetuating. And so that's why it's like a really beautiful foundation. And yeah, when we did that first camp, the reason I was saying I was like on sabbatical, like, I think that culmination of everything, I was at a job that I've been for like 4 years, and we did the camp, and I didn't even have a plan, but I was like, I think this is the shit I'm supposed to do for my life. And like, I quit my job. I never came back for my sabbatical. And then, but yeah, I think that really, like, that piece is what really solidified like moving the work in this direction.
That's dope. So yeah, I mean, you guys, had Eayikes to kind of birth this new project, Homey Made Meals. Can you talk about like where that desire even came from to, bring food into the conversation and how that affects community?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Go Barzonia.
Got this.
Well, let me take you back to like 2.5 years ago when everyone just was mandated to go and stay inside. Like, everyone had the stay-at-home orders. Everyone was going home. There was no cars on the streets. And when we were just locked up and pent up, I think the first thing we thought of was like, what can we do at the safety of our home? And who's taking care of the unhoused when they have literally no home to go to? So Alex or Uni and Mel from Pola's Pantries kind of put their brains together, and it's like, okay, let's create this model where like chefs cook from home. They create little lunch bags from home, and then volunteers will almost like curbside pick up the meals, and then we will drop them off to distribution partners, and then they will do the frontline work of like giving the meals to the unhoused. So it just really started as like a simple like idea of like, what can we do, and that kind of transmuted into this like really unique community mutual aid like powered movement that's honestly is still strong till this day, which is pretty phenomenal, incredible.
That's incredible.
It is.
First of
It's
all, when
so
you get
incredible.
mandated on lockdown, the first thing you're thinking about is somebody else. Wow. That's wow. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, when you have the privilege of a home and know that you're not going to worry about where your next meal comes from, and you have a job and you're now like almost basking in the delight of working from home, like I hope people think like, what else can we do? Like, how can we serve? And that has actually been a really incredible like self-work too, because that has helped us also like look deep within about why we do the things that we do, and then why we do the things with our friends. And really like kind of hone into more of our purpose, which I think has been really a gift in and of itself in a time of real like anxiety driven uncertainty during a pandemic. We were actually able to ground ourselves even more through our friends, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
That is really
That's
cool.
dope.
Okay, obviously there's no warming up. We're already in the deepest sector of the pool.
There's
There's no questions that are gonna be shallow from here. But like
No, never.
you said, even finding more purpose in why you do what you do. Like, please, if you could elaborate, like why, as basic as that question is, like why do you do what you do?
Why? Okay, Chaz, sorry, there's gonna be
The
a
eyebrows
delay.
start flowing.
Sorry, Chaz.
Tears start flowing
Why
here.
do we do
Cue the tears.
There is no one word or there's no one sentence. Like everything that you have lived from day one of infancy to now, everything has culminated and like almost beautifully interwoven into why you are doing the things that you have done right now. And sometimes it's not even to your own like action or your own like excuse me. It's not because you purposely like seek this route out, but it was also like the compassion of your friends and your community and the feeling of belonging that has also like powered this movement of purpose, or helped me find my purpose, which is actually really, really incredible too. I don't know. Or not that I don't know. I do know, but it's really hard to just say it in a very eloquent sentence.
Totally. Hey, what do you do for your day job again?
Wow. Technically my 9 to 5, I am working at another nonprofit called Richstone Family Center. We treat and prevent child abuse and domestic violence in the South Bay area. I'm personally not a clinical therapist in any way. We have a wonderful team who does, but I am on the development and on the operations side.
For that nonprofit. Yeah. And then what's that dance team that you direct?
Oh, and I'm also this is my 10th year on Culture Shock Los Angeles.
Let's go.
I am the company director of Culture Shock Los Angeles.
Also a nonprofit 501c3.
Also a nonprofit 501c3 company, but we are dedicated to education, entertainment, and empowerment.
There it is.
Wait, yeah, did I say that right? Oh my god.
So you're saying you work for a nonprofit and then you direct a nonprofit and then you also work in a nonprofit like
My
EIKS,
blood
and then you also give
is nonprofit.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand why you do what you do, because when the
thank
answer.
you for the assist.
Oh, I don't know. I was just fishing. You know?
Well,
For
I mean,
sure,
I'm
for
curious.
sure.
Like, you have this desire to serve people, and where does that come from?
The desire to serve, the desire to serve was not necessarily like something that I don't know. I didn't really like say this is my purpose. Like I will serve, for instance, right? It just, that part came as like a given. Like everything I do will be based on service. It doesn't matter if it is for nonprofit or for profit or for anything else. Like the serve element has always been a part of me, but the nonprofit sector is where I really found belonging. That is where I found the people that I actually wanted to build with, and I saw potential in like a really deep impact that money can't buy. Like you can hire the right people on face value, but there's something so deep in a nonprofit sector that is so special and so unique. And yeah, that is kind of why I just naturally gravitated in the nonprofit sector. And it's just more fun.
Heck yeah.
It's just more fun. And don't get me wrong, like I've been in the for-profit world, and I learned so much. Like I was in a multi-billion-dollar like fast fashion company, like literally doing the internship all the way to like assistant manager role, working like 60 hours a week. I've done that and I learned so much. But that has also given me the confidence to go and really like integrate myself into what's more aligned naturally to me, and that was really in the nonprofit world.
You guys said some words that I that really stuck out: community, belonging, empowerment, and like those are all very basic human needs, right? Everybody needs to feel like they have significance in the world. Everybody needs to feel like they belong somewhere. And so from Eayikes to Homey made meals, and like when I think about food and home and family kind of all, they're just, you know what I mean? They belong together. So, you know, for you guys to create a food focused initiative, I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on like, not to be like super, you know, artsy, but like, what is food? I mean, we all need to eat because to survive, but I think there is a powerful element of food, and that food brings people together. So for you guys, how do you define what food is?
Food is power. Food is a weapon. Like food can
A weapon.
Like, do you remember that one like moment on Ratatouille where that like really stingy
the critic,
Yeah.
and then eats
it,
the ratatouille,
and he's like this
goes back to his
uptight-
kid,
Yeah.
and he like got into a bike accident,
Yeah,
his knees
and
are
just
scraped,
like,
and he's crying.
I'm a little kid again. You know, like
And his mom makes his food and
oh
eats
my
it and goes
God,
back.
This is love.
Yeah,
Like,
I've never seen the movie.
Oh, never. Well,
What is
spoiler
that?
alert. That's exactly what happened. So, like, food, we have a connection to it. Like, whether that's, you know, from our childhood with our friends now, like, food is something that is like unifying. And believe it or not, more recently, I found out there are people who actually don't have that kind of connection to food and that are just finding that right now through their friends because they feel belonging. So the reason why I say food is a weapon is because going back to the model of homey made meals, once the chefs have cooked from the safety of their homes, and then our volunteer picks up the meals and then they drop it off to our distribution or outreach partners, they'll go literally on the street and outreach to the unhoused who are living on the street, and they will weekly consistently share a freshly made homemade meal. And that impact is undescribable. Like, for a stranger, quote unquote, a stranger, to come every week to offer like meals that were made with love, that will give an unhoused person the ability to start opening up their hearts to the outreach person. And then that will start building up a bridge of trust through food specifically. And then that is how they will start maintaining a relationship with the outreach partners. And then sooner or later, they will start receiving help from the outreach partners, right? So there is an actual, like, real, like, tangible way to help the unhoused. And that is specifically through homemade meals. And that is what is so powerful about it. And in a world where the unhoused is actually getting criminalized in Los Angeles, like, food is actually a weapon to help them gain more power and bring more light into the situation that we have right now. Just overall, if you zoom out, even out of the unhoused population, if you even zoom out of that, like, you can use food, like, food access is actually something that is just so rampant in the Los Angeles community. And so, yeah, I just feel like food itself, that connection where it just feels so basic on a human level, to be able to share that with a quote unquote stranger, and to
you had mentioned that like food, you know, can be that first step that establishes trust, and then once that trust is there, you know, that person might be able to open up, and then from there they might even be able to like receive help. What does that help potentially look like?
Man, it can be a lot of things. Help, like, in terms of like medical needs, help in terms of like getting them identifications, like basic human needs.
You've had situations where like the person who is doing the curbside delivery is like a medical professional who's able to administer help, or you've had like how does that more so like an example? I'm sure anything can happen. I'm just looking for some examples of things that have happened along the way.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I personally do not do the actual outreach, so I do not have those like one-on-one excuse me, one-on-one like stories, but from what lands in my ear, it's really the resources that will help the unhoused, whether that's in a health level, like physical level, getting them the shelter or the resources that they need, anything from even like just like getting
even
like,
passing
the
on
resources.
information to allow them to like understand that they can do XYZ things.
Because you
once
have
you've
to
built-
understand that like the unhoused, they get people who like peek in their homes all the time, right? Because there are folks who just want to help the unhoused, but then there's this like kind of disconnect sometimes of like really seeing them as people. People just maybe like drop off a water bottle and like package processed food snacks and be like, hey, we're here, you know, here you go, bye, and then they'll never see them again, right? So there's a lot of trauma when there's like an unhoused person and like help, even like getting help. There's a lot of trauma behind that, but consistency with a lot of love and care and attention, like that is like the baby step for them to slowly open up their hearts and slowly get the resource that they need, but I think what's really more important is the relationships that they build.
It's like a vessel. Like in this regard, it's like when you're talking about basic needs, right? Like it's food as a vessel, right? Because when you don't feel like you belong and you're looking out for your basic needs, but you have, right? And it's not the same as like, and this is great, right? People come out and they bring their, like Sonia was saying, bring out their brown bags, and it's like, cool, here you go. But there are so many organizations in the city that are people that are looking to create relationships, to create care. And so when that food comes, it's almost, that food is community, that food is belonging, that food is an opportunity to be seen and for people to receive services or to like understand what's out there on behalf of the people that are like, there's people that fucking putting their life work like every day that is in the city that's like nobody really sees, but is extraordinary, right? That even takes it above like, well, Homey's a fucking awesome thing, right? But when you see people that are putting their lives into it, that, you know, they'll go to jail for it, they'll fight for people, they'll go to city meetings and they'll be an activist for, you know, our neighbors, our unhoused neighbors, to be a voice. And that part is like just mad humbling to see people put their life work in.
Can you talk a little bit more about the relationship building side? Because I understand, like, you know, there's a lot of organizations that are, you know, essentially focused on feeding the unhoused, and it's just drop off some food, we did our thing, and nothing against that. I mean, like, not to say that everybody, absolutely, because there's a need that needs to be fulfilled, but you guys keep bringing up relationship. Can you talk a little bit more about how you guys go about building relationships with the unhoused community?
Well, Homey Made Meals specifically, we are kind of like an operation logistical system to create those relationships, but we also kind of stay in our lane. And I think that is what we need to like remind ourselves that is actually okay, and that's what's needed to be the almost the teleoperator of like from volunteer to the activists or the distribution outreach partners. So we actually I should know this number, but we partner with multiple outreach partners throughout the entire city, all the way from the Valley to Orange County, and they do the actual relationship building because that is what's on their lane.
That's amazing. But of course, like you said, it's the vessel, or it's, you know, that almost that portal, that entry point in order to build those relationships.
And it's actually given us, it's actually inspired us to learn more about what's been going on and not just hide behind a spreadsheet and behind the email to just be like, Bob cooked 10 meals. It's going to be, you know, picked up on Wednesday at 2:00, you know, like there's just way more education and responsibility that naturally comes with that kind of connection.
I would even say like to that, right? Like staying in the lane, what Sonia does, like Sonia and the team, like fucking wild what they do, right? It's almost 100,000 meals, but then now, the relationships have been built because quote unquote, you stayed in your lane, but now there's events that the team are doing to build relationships with the community. And now those values of like EIKS and community and like love, like in such a heavy time and topic, there's joy and like childlike wonder being brought in through the events that they're creating now. And then it's like, this shit's next level now. Now we're really healing. Now we're really building hope, and we're creating a sense of belonging, you know, and then you see the duality of like people that live in situations that'd be really difficult for us to navigate every day, but then they're holding on to a joy, they're holding on to that care and that hope, and that's from like doing the care and then doing the work.
That's with the integration of EIKS' ethos now bleeding into Homey made meals. And yes, we're staying in our lane, but now we're creating it with joy and childlike wonder.
Yeah, I wanted to tap into that. So I'm obviously seeing that like when we talk about like homey made meals, it's like you're talking about homey made meals, and when we talk about like EIKS, it's like Ray's kind of like speaking on behalf of EIKS, but it's obviously so interwoven.
Yes,
Just so everybody kind of gets the sense.
Can you tell?
What's like your guys' roles in the two, and then two, how just where you were getting with that, like how do the two come together to do what you do for your community, or like how just the relationship in general?
Yeah. So basically, Sonia makes EIKS run as well.
Hey, Sonia does everything.
Sonia does everything. So when we started, it was Alex, Kyle, and I, and then we were just like dudes doing like, what do we do next? Like, this
we know
is
how
the
that
next
is,
thing, right? And then the world opened up. We were leading from the heart.
What do we do next?
And then once the women came in, then everything blossomed into process and into a vision and into like, so we meet every week, and Sonia essentially she says she's membership director, but she keeps the processes flowing and keeps everybody in check and meets with each of us. And so I do like the culture directing, like ethos programming side of things. Alex is the executive director. Kyle's behind the scenes with the books and the admin. And so we meet through there, and right now we're just focusing. Sonia's got us like grounding, because we used to just do, what do we do? Like pandemic, right? We did homemade meals. The other thing was we did like 230 like digital events. We're like, got to keep the community going. But a lot of it didn't necessarily, it was answering a call, but didn't have a vision per se. Where now Sonia's like, get back to what it is that we do, and like what are the things that are going to build and last for a long time. So like, yeah, so the way that interacts is like, now it's with me, she works on, we're doing like a youth camp that's coming back in August, but then she'll work with Uni with like Homey Made Meals and the Homey Made Meals team, and then we're all meeting every week, and then we kind of triangulate everything in terms of like coalescing all those values, right? So it's super dope to almost rotate our work around a set of values, and how each of us take those values in our like own lived experience, and like this is how we want to show it in the world. And so and then I think with Homey Made, that's the one that's just kept pushing and like has continued to be people powered.
North Star, baby.
Yeah. So I mean, Homey Made Meals obviously was kind of birthed during the pandemic, and they're obviously a large unhoused community, and unfortunately because of the pandemic, it's even larger now. A lot more people have been experiencing the just the hardships of a pandemic. A lot of people lost jobs, homes. So I'd love to hear your guys' approach to, unfortunately, a growing population, and the challenges that you guys are facing. How are you guys sort of approaching where we're at? Not that we're out of it, but it's just the effects of it are now being seen 2 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's rough, y'all. Like, it's real. Like, people are hurting, but there are also folks who are strong enough to help those people. There are also people who are inspired by that movement, and they are also stepping up to the plate and batting. Yes, EIKS is one of them, but we also have a lot of politicians. I don't know if we can make any shout outs.
You can do whatever you want.
Whoever you want.
All right. We got our homie Kenneth Mejia. He is running for city's controller, and he is actually doing the work. He's the one. He is the one.
Yeah.
I can sign my name on Kenneth Mejia. He is making the books or everything that's going on in LA transparent. Thank you, Ray. Transparent. When November comes, the elections come, like, I hope everyone just research on your own, like, what that means for you and what everyone like stands for and what their beliefs are. But there are, in the darkness, there is also light. That's what I've kind of noticed with the past 2 years. With really shitty situations, there are also like really great humans shining. And I think we've all seen a version of that. Um, yeah. And going back to Ben, like, it's an ongoing humanitarian issue that I hope more Angelinos find more compassion in, versus something that is like NIMBY or not in my backyard, where you're like, I don't want to see it. Like, I want to pay money to get away from it. I hope you find more compassion to see folks as human beings, because no one is choosing to be unhoused.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of like go into a very human, but also like a vulnerable moment that I had with Ray Ray actually, and because we talk about that, right? And there's this calling that you kind of sometimes feel. It's, oh man, like maybe it's you feel bad, or maybe it's like you're just inspired and you want to do something, but maybe you don't feel you know what to do, you know. And I've been in that position many times, you know what I'm saying. I've talked to Ray Ray and I've been like, yo, dude, like I think Kinjaz can help, but man, like I don't know, you know, it's not, sometimes it's not as basic, and I don't want to sound selfish about it, but I'm gonna be realistic. Sometimes it's not so simple to like be able to like get on the same train when you're like focusing on the things. And I remember Ray put me in like an amazing headspace to just be like, yo, like that's okay.
That's okay.
That's totally okay. You know, the fact that like to even think compassionate thoughts, and then everybody can just play their part. They don't have to play the same role. They don't have to all be the hero of the story, because it's a puzzle. You know what I mean? And every puzzle, no matter where it is, like a piece is a piece that's vital, just as important, you know, to that machine, to that gear. I think that was the analogy used, like gears on a machine, you know. And Kinjaz Bang Noodles happened to be kind of like one of our only ways, because like we didn't necessarily, you know, it's not, time is such a valuable component, and sometimes you feel bad when you don't know how to give time. So like we just had to find a way, and you guys, you know, like all the people power within Eayikes and Homey made meals, honestly, even for us, even through us being able to like use Kinjaz Bang Noodles, made us even, I don't know, feel connected and feel like we could do something without being, you know, the soldiers in the street. And I feel like that was such a huge and revelationary moment for me, to know that we can play a part that's natural and authentic to what we actually do, versus feeling helpless to do what the heroes are doing and then thinking I can't contribute, like, therefore you know what I mean. So
for sure.
But yeah, you know, that was such an amazing thing for you to share with me, Ray, because that is truth, you know what I mean, as long as people play their part.
That's right, like really culture, like when, because we talk about big things like homelessness is such a macro problem, right? And there's so many intricate parts that go into that like, how do you solve that, right? Or how do you figure that, versus like, what is the micro that you're practicing every day, right? Because the micro turns to the macro, right? What is the in your sphere, right? Like in my relationships, how am I treating this person across from me? Because when you have that consciousness of like trying to be better, then leads to you trying to be better for your friends, for your family, for your partners, for your work, for your art. And that in itself is the whole point of it all, right? And we all, like you were saying, we all play roles. And so, you know, it's just about playing that part and like continuing to have our consciousness open to be like, what can I learn? How can I be better? And acknowledging that, right? Because that is belonging, right? I'm sure for people and like your audience to be able to hear you recognize these things, like that's huge. Like that's super dope and validating for people like us to be like, look up to you as artists and appreciate your artistry, but to see that you're making space and time for that, what that does on a human level to be able to like drive and push in a very unseen way is like really powerful.
What is the actual like logistics of these meals getting made? Like what is the process, if for anybody out there who might want to get involved, you know, with what you guys are doing? So how do you guys execute getting these meals out there?
Simple. Sign up at homeymademeals.com, and there you can, you know, volunteer as a chef You can volunteer as a driver. You can volunteer as a dref or a driver chef. So you can do both.
Ooh,
You can
ref.
cook and drive on the same day, believe it or not.
Just don't do it at the same time. That might not be good.
I had to I always, anytime somebody does that with words, I always have to process the other option. And shiver, I get, doesn't work.
What's driver? Chef driver. Okay, so yes, you could do both. And then I think one of our coolest model is that we wanted it like the volunteering aspect of it be really like inclusive. So I know like maybe like if you volunteer as a chef, there might be some fear around like can I afford making meals for 20 people? But I personally have the bandwidth, but I don't have the funds. We have a pantry that pretty much like gives everything out for free, and thanks to Kinjaz noodles. Kinjaz noodles, shing shing Kinjaz noodles. Like we are able to supplement a lot of our pantry items through Kinjaz noodles, and that eventually gets to the hands of our unhoused, and that's actually been super super helpful for our community. And so so if you want to get involved,
it's just a marketing scam. We're just marketing to the unhoused. We just want them to buy our food.
Well then, let it be. Shing shing.
You said pantry. Is there a physical brick and mortar pantry location?
Yes, so you can come to our old house. That
is amazing.
In West Adams, but we're actually
in the garage.
Yeah, we're actually moving from that house in about a week, and we're moving it just down a couple blocks. But it's dope because it's actually a pantry that'll be stocked for anybody that wants to cook meals. But then we actually have 2 community members, like kind of in that work that we met through the pandemic, that if the house is actually, they would be housing insecure without have trouble finding housing. So they're actually like kind of like our community members that are living in the house. Like
that is
so they have like
this
subsidized
is
rent.
so
community
real.
center.
Like you guys are doing this out of your homes. You know what I mean? Like that. That's incredible.
It's pretty cool.
I feel like it's so nonchalantly said because maybe you live it. You know what I mean? But like from an outsider looking in, it's like you guys fed like 100,000 meals. Almost, sure, but still like, but you're, you know what I mean?
By
Like
the time this comes out,
from the outside, that sounds like some sort of multi-million-dollar VC funding when it's some charitable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here we are, and we're talking about it's operating out of your house. You're talking about like 5 people that are trying to like figure some stuff out, and obviously working with a bunch of people. I get it, but just the magnitude of what you've been able to accomplish with just like this desire to be of service as like a given, you know, I just think that's a very incredible and powerful thing.
Absolutely.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, cheers again to y'all.
Yeah, to the movement.
To the movement.
Ching ching.
Clink, clink.
Clink clink.
All right, so hey, welcome back from whatever ad that was. Buy it. And now, so we did a really, really awesome job talking about homemade meals and stuff like that. And there's and we were just in this last bathroom break / whiskey refill / whatever. We were talking about how it's dope that there's times where when we bring guests on the pod or when I listen to other podcasts, oftentimes what I'm normally searching for are things that are like inspiring my everyday. I'm like looking at other people's success stories and blah, 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 things that I'm trying to like motivate myself with, right? And that's cool and all. But I'm so proud and happy to have you guys here be a part of the Kinjaz podcast because these are stories that I feel like need to be told. You know what I mean? They might not necessarily be the ones that somebody might try to look for right away to seek their own self-help. But I think the inspiration that like EIKS is even given to Kinjaz and Homey Made Meals is given to Kinjaz and in our long history has been something that has been really, really influential on what makes us who we are as well. And I just want fans and viewers and listeners to understand that even Kinjaz would not be what we are if it wasn't for organizations like SPOP, like or the people like y'all that we met at UCI. Shout out to UCI. Everybody here's from UCI except for Chad.
Yeah.
Let's
Zot,
go.
Zot,
You love
baby.
that too?
Yeah,
Come
that's what
on.
I'm saying. Come on, kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm Zot for life, baby.
Oh, might be.
You walked in the shadow of his parking lot rehearsals.
Might be. Yes, that's forever.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, just you know what I mean. Just like knowing like how important the people, the community, the concept of belonging, empowerment, things that we learn together, and things that we've been taught even through your guys' constant actions have been very, very, very influential to the history of Kinjaz. For anybody who might have been a longer Kinjaz fan, if you guys even remember, we had done a video project one time in collaboration with Eayikes, and it was to Justin Bieber's children's song. What about the children? Yeah, you guys know.
That's the snippet you get. That's the snippet you get.
And you know, and in that video at that time, if you could shed more light on the details of that project, we were doing. You guys were doing was it GoFundMe?
GoFundMe, yeah.
Literally, yeah. Why don't you be the one?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. So we were doing Indiegogo, and what's actually even interesting is this like after actually I was saying earlier I could quit my job, and then I was like, "What? I'm gonna do EIKS."
I'm just curious. What was that job? What job
it was,
did you quit?
It was a documentary series called Road Trip Nation, and so we'd visit like high schools around the country, but it was a documentary series about like interviewing people how they got to where they are in their life and like the wisdom that they had, and so
that's like what we're doing right now.
Kinda,
yeah.
They just
exactly.
come here.
Here we
Home
are.
trip.
Yeah, here we go.
So I left that, and then I was just like bright-eyed. I was like, we're gonna do this. This shit worked, right? The camp worked. Like, let's make it happen. And didn't have any tactical plan. And then was just like kind of hit a wall. And then but I actually from there just like started volunteering and doing stuff. And then was having a pretty hard time like trying to find the next step. And then was like really doubting kind of making that decision. And we were looking to fund more camps. And I was talking with Alex, and he was just like, man, like, we should just do a campaign. And I remember just the ego. I was like, nah, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I don't want to ask people for anything to, like, do this. And early on, he was just very sage if you ever get to meet with Uni. But he's like, this is not about you to, like, do this for you. This is to keep the work going so that we can provide this and give this for people, you know, and young people. And so that kind of conversation when I was really low, kind of opened it up to just like accepting and like reaching out more. And I remember I reached out to y'all and then just asked if there was any way to help within the GoFundMe campaign. And then quick enough, y'all like rallied, you know, and like, hold on, all right, you need help? Like, let us see what we can do. And then I was like, all right, you know, and I was like, we'll see. And I remember telling everybody, I was like, yeah, I hit them up. They said they'll see what they can do. And yeah, at the time we didn't know what we were standing on. Like when you're kind of just going out on something, it's like, will people resonate or will people be like, what is this shit, you know? And then sure enough, when you all shot that day, you're like, all right, we're gonna do a choreographed dance. Come meet us out. And then I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're gonna do a dance? Like, you're gonna do a video and then ask people to like donate? Like that shit blew my mind because. And then I remember going out, and I think you shot it at like an amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to Justin Bieber. And I remember going, and I was like, wait, all these dudes are like practicing this dance and like choreographed this and like spent their time and gave their time to do this. And then at the end of the video, y'all came on, and then you actually shared about the cause and like asked people to donate. And just that experience, I don't think I've ever even caught up with you personally about that, but what that did for me personally, obviously it's organizational, but what it gave me in terms of knowledge, in terms of like when you're feeling pretty low and kind of shitty, and like the concept of releasing to ask for help and to rely upon the people that you trust as supports, like just the cool stories and meeting the people throughout that campaign, it helped me, empowered me to actually like share my own story. Because actually when we talk like Genesis, like one of the things that I think is driver, Sonia was saying like grounding your life in service. For me, it was I spent like the last 5 months of my dad's life with him when he had cancer, and like I moved home, and I spent the last 5 months with him, and I just like saw him evolve, right? And he was like a traditional like breadwinner, kind of like hardened dad. But then like his cancer experience kind of just like really shifted him spiritually and like what he understood and what he found important. And it was like beautiful. It was like a beautiful metaphor in a lot of ways because he was physically kind of like wilting, but like just on the spiritual level and on like this just quality of a human level, Tip was just like ascending and rising. And one of the last conversations we had, you know, a couple days before he passed was just like, yo, like, he didn't say yo, but he didn't say that.
I was hoping he said
yo. For history's sake, we'll say yeah. He just let me know, for me, the service-based life, there's just something that feels very full in living that. And essentially, you know, he just empowered that. And he's like, I want you to continue that for your life, you know? Because he had realized like he wanted to inspire people just by sharing his journey and his like testimony and like what he was experiencing. And so kind of that was all carried in what I don't know that you ever understood that you did that for me or y'all did that for me, because that was something that was like the fuel, but it was like really close to running empty and just like a lot of doubt. And to see that was like community, that was belonging. Like you didn't, a lot of those guys on the team, right? They didn't know me. They didn't have anything, even they didn't know EIKS. They didn't know what that was about, but they, you know, there was leadership and they trusted in you and they came out for the cause. And like, yeah, that really propelled everything to going into camps and like seeing a bigger term view to be able to like continue and move forward. So, yeah.
Did your dad pass before EIKS was formed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he,
So I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
I'm like, what made you want to be this way? You know what I mean? And I think you're answering the question that I just asked, right? You know, your father that had passed, and he was somebody who was a pillar in your life that taught you how powerful service was, to serving people, to give of your talents, give of your resources, so that those who may not have the things that you are blessed with can experience some level of humanity, some level of just resources are meant to be shared, right?
Yes.
And I mean that it's really interesting, because I actually wanted to ask that question, like, how are you the way that you are? And I think I'm getting that now because of your father. And I think there's definitely something there that I find to be encouraging for myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm at a place in life right now too where I'm just like, I just want to serve. Like I just want to figure out how I can help. And the reason for it is because there have been people that have served and helped me that actually, for me personally, weren't my father. It wasn't my actual biological father. But you know, there are people that have stepped into chapters of my life that have served me, and that makes me feel like this is what I need to live for too. And so, you know, for EIKS, you guys are talking about youth, and I think youth, you know, when youth is kind of like a very like broad term, right? You know, like, but that's where you're most impressionable, right? That's where you are most either like this or that kind of thing. And you guys, you have this retreat that you guys talk about that's coming up very soon, right? And I'd love to hear about what the focus and the intention behind the EIKS annual retreat is.
Yeah. Thank you. It's called Wilder Wonder, and so it's all based around bringing young people into nature. So we actually got a grant, and it's about showing people the healing power of nature. And so for us, it was like a big piece, because when you take people, right, because nature itself, right, is very almost it's the inverse of like all of the stimulus that we have in society right now, whether that's like media, electronics, especially young people, right? Because during the week I work at a school, and so that's also something I see, like young people's development and their response to that, especially with the pandemic.
You
right?
are so hot right now. I'm sorry.
Dude, Ray got words, dude. Ray got bars.
I'm like, am I just salivating by myself? During the week, I work with children too. And oh my gosh.
Yo, Ray got bars. Did you not see that video of him and Mike?
It's like nature is the inverse of, oh my God. Anyway, sorry. I totally couldn't follow.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Kinjaz podcast.
And we're back.
Yeah, but that, I mean, like just from a scientific standpoint, right? Like kids' development, when you're at an age where you should be outside, you should be learning, your frontal cortex is growing, but then you're just inside the house, you're on a screen, right? You're not getting those like social norms, you're not building relationships. Like you come back and shit's wild, right? And so seeing that in school, we were actually taking a break from youth camps, but just with our students, like the need to kind of have some compass or to have some belonging in a space where like you're looking at it externally, you're looking at it through a screen, and you're like following these voices, and at a time when you don't know who you are and you're still developing. It's really important for us to bring back. And yeah, so the retreat will be going to Malibu Creek State Park, and then I think the part that we really love is they get put into like small, we call them squander pods.
It's official now.
It's official.
Yeah,
They get
squander pods.
Squander pods, and you get a small
Squander
group.
pods.
You get a small
Okay.
group with like, with 2 of the staffers, and it's like, so on a big level, right? We're doing a lot of the camping experiences. We're hiking. We're exploring. Like this year, like they learn about the land, right? Where people are doing essential oils workshops. But then they do like rites of passage. We did this night hike where they have to just like, there's no lights, no nothing, and you take them to a spot, and you're just like, go into the darkness.
Just
You'll know when to
go.
stop, right? And it's like these very like campy things, but what it means for a young person, right? To like literally go into the darkness, and it's just like, you'll know when to stop, and and to like breathe those things, but at the same time, you're with peers from different backgrounds. You're having adults who are just, their focus is to lift you up and to like learn about you and to
Yes,
learn what your
sir.
interests are.
Yeah.
And be like, however your identity is, whatever you view yourself as, however you see it, like that's what you should be. That's who you should be, and it's the only ask is that you're in community with people. And it's just kind of going back to everything we've kind of been
This is
talking
so
about.
crazy because like straight up, I am a summer camp kid. Like I was made by summer camps.
Yeah.
Like number one, like my dad being the starter of the Boy Scout
Boy
troop.
Scout?
Yes.
I was
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
camping,
For
and
sure,
it's
for
always
sure.
about teams and
Yeah.
leaderships and being
Yeah.
tested like that. Through the American Red Cross and the Leadership Development Center, all throughout high school, through things like retreats and SPOP or the retreats that Kinjaz do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was a result of that type of environment. I would be a loser in high school.
Don't say that.
It's okay. I'm saying because I'm trying to understand
I
my
was a
own
loser in
self.
high
Okay,
school.
okay. This is your journey. This is your journey.
This is my journey, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure, for sure.
But I'm just saying, like I could feel like, and I did feel like a total loser in high school, and in camp, I felt like that was the only space that like cultivated and allowed me to be myself, and there I felt like a winner. It wasn't about being better than anybody else at all. It was just a matter of like when I'm in school, I just felt so like just not like nobody treats you, nobody's trying to empower you, nobody's trying to lift, educators aren't even trying to lift
like
you
trying to
sometimes, you know
roll
what I'm
with the
saying?
system.
Yeah, you're just in this social thing of just trying to be like, like popular, whatever, just stupid thoughts. But every single time I went to one of those leadership camps, summer camps, Boy Scout camps, those places just had people who cared enough, or maybe just wanted to provide different types of experiences that allowed a human being to find themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I fucking swear by these
Yes.
things, and you guys even do summer camps for like adults. You know what I'm saying? Like when you feel like you
Camp
can't do
out.
it as a kid, or when you feel like you're like, oh, the only way for an adult to go is to be a staffer. It's like, no, like they've done this for adults to experience things that
I'm trying to go to one of those. What's up?
Coming back in
Let's
July,
go.
July
2023. Let's
Okay.
go.
It
Yeah.
is amazing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It is amazing. But just again, the work that you guys are putting in, even though it might seem from a time perspective, for the user experience, maybe it's just like a retreat, 3 days. But you've been putting in the work for decades to understand the importance of what should go into these. The small detail of being like, it's official. We're gonna call it a squander pod. That probably took hours.
I want to see the whiteboard. I want to see the whiteboard.
I bet you option 2 through 9 are hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Or like the first runner-up, if squander pod didn't work, like
Yeah, dude. I want to know top 3.
It's a
Yeah,
capital
with the Z,
Top
with the
three.
Z.
all right, if it
Squander
wasn't
pod,
squander
with
pod,
the Z.
if it wasn't squander pod, what is it?
What was it?
Was-
Squad pods.
Squad. It was just because it was.
Squander
Pod.
pod's way
That
better.
was actually really quick.
Yeah,
it was a
squander
quick-
pod's
With the
way
Z's,
better.
with
Yeah.
But you know what I'm
Squander
saying?
pod,
Like
yeah.
it takes so much experience and an understanding of that and the importance of it through your own learned experience and also learning how to teach the experience. You can't just do it and then like teach it. You have to learn how to teach. Like I've been a product of your guys' camp. I've been a staffer in your guys' camp, and then I went back to just being a member because like I too, you know what I mean, need to continue to almost exercise that like finding myself tool. And I just feel like what you guys offer, what EIKS and the entire people power community that y'all have cultivated, that shit works for me. Like that works on me. I've been a product of it, and I wouldn't be the man I am if it wasn't for EIKS and all the summer camp atmosphere. So I don't know. I just want to co-sign it harder than like anything I've probably co-signed on this damn podcast because I'm a product of it and I just love what y'all do.
You practice that, right? But you all practice that with like the Kinjaz retreat, right? This concept of like ritual.
We're not
or,
allowed
like,
to talk about that.
Oh,
on the
but
pod.
never mind.
Okay.
And what Kinjaz? We
I
don't
know.
retreat.
Things we practice at Kinjaz retreats will probably cancel us in 2022.
We can no longer continue certain traditions.
Yeah. But yes, we
Yeah.
like we all, that's who we are. That's where
Yeah.
we got it. That's why we're all kin in that way. And that's also why like, y'all have always been a legitimate, authentic, constant resources of inspiration. And even like a grounding beacon, you know what I mean? Something that just grounds us to like, anytime we could always, even if it's not like all macro, even for me personally, sometimes just being able to ground myself and go back, you know what I mean? To the things that made me who I am and the people that helped make me who I am,
Yeah. Going back to like EIKS, I mean, I haven't had the personal experience that Anthony's had with you guys. I think I've kind of been introduced to you guys through Kinjaz, actually, to be honest with you, through Mike and Anthony.
No, for sure.
And then, I learned that you guys have a whole culture around what EIKS stands for. And I've learned, it's about community. It's about bringing people together. And what I also learned is that you guys have a game, Solversations, which we actually did at the Kinjaz retreat that we don't have.
Okay.
before the game was fully developed. So we had the pieces of
cartridges
paper.
We had the beta version. We had the
Just
beta
in rubber
version.
bands.
Yeah. But
Pew.
I will say there were tears shed.
No
There
way.
were like, real just like
Oh
I
my-
never knew that about you moments,
Oh.
But it's fully developed.
Here's
now.
here's the best part. Just to add on to that though, before it became fully developed, just to add on an anecdote, I gotta say this because it's too fucking good.
Let's go.
At that time, there were like almost tiers of depth, right? It was like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It's like like icebreaker style, like good conversation, and then like for real, like let's kind of get deep, right? And I remember Pat Cruz, because we broke up into like 3 small groups or something like that.
You're testing like the beta version.
Yeah, we're testing the beta version,
yes.
but we also fully understand. We like totally get this and we understand, right?
For sure.
And I remember Pat Cruz looking at like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and be like, nah, get tier 1 and 2 out of here.
Let's get
we
to
don't
the
need an
stuff.
icebreaker.
Yeah, no, let's
just
get to the
straight
real.
to the shit.
Yeah.
And like that's the kind of like even the closest of friends and family sometimes need a prompt.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes need a reason to go somewhere because everybody needs to go there and everybody needs empathy and to be able to share certain things. But like even the closest of people sometimes need a prompt. And that was such
100.
a beautiful thing for us to be able to just totally rest on the hearts of the work that y'all put in to elevate our community experience, So shout out Pat Cruz.
Shout out Pat
Cruz.
Cruz.
You miss you.
Yeah.
Love you. Shout
But
out
yeah.
to Ray for creating this
Yeah,
question.
so like let's
So
get
add
into
on now, yeah.
Solversations.
Yeah.
How did you guys develop this thing?
I mean, we always use a lot of questions. Like, yes, it's just the concept of like thinking about, how do we enter different levels of what people's vulnerability is, because people have different levels of, right, because then you're working on like a psychological level of like people either shame or like the things that they're not used to, or was that practiced in their culture or practiced in their home. And so for us, that's always got to get in there, right? And that's like a spot thing, or that's like a camp thing, right? You got to get into the heart of people. That's where you create the change, right? Like, you can't have real things that happen unless someone's fully open. And so developing Soulversations was just combining a lot of what we've done within the camps, our school experiences back in the day, and creating some sort of way to have different depths of levels to open up people and to examine people from different aspects of their life. And like kind of what Anthony was saying, like prompts and these questions, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's almost like what games do, right? Games are connectors of people, but we wouldn't just normally be like, let's open up this aspect of ourselves. You can put it on like this game or this question. It's like, oh, I'm not asking you, it's the game that's asking you. And then it's that.
Exactly, right? I'm not going to walk into the room and be like, hey, Ray, when was the last time you cried?
Hey, dude, it's on the card, bro. Not me.
Right? But that's the thing. If you shuffle a deck, you pick, that's destiny telling you.
Oh, don't talk about destiny.
Yeah.
So from that, I think
genius,
that's the
man. That's so
beautiful
good.
thing of it. And just like the very selfishly, there's aspects that I just love, the concept of like the human journey and the things that we all examine and the themes that we go through in life. And for me, it's about hearing people, how they view it and how they can dive into it and just experience. Like one thing I was able to do on my birthday was like do it with my brother and sister. And like,
That's gotta be crazy.
I wasn't super close with my brother growing up. And then me and my sister are kind of close, but she's 8.5 years. I'm the youngest. And so to experience that, like on that level with them, like it was generationally like freeing. There was some, I was like, I'm 37 years old experiencing this like new, like, like I see them in a new light. And
with your siblings.
With my siblings. And like to talk about, my parents are the things.
I would 100% cry for sure.
Yeah.
Zero chance of me not crying if I would have my siblings. Yeah, that's awesome.
So like I'm also a co-host of this other YouTube comedy talk show called Just Kidding News, right?
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out JK News, you dicks. No, I'm just kidding.
Shoot, JK News.
And what we kind of like this new era, this crew, the group of the dudes that like we've just built amazing fellowship, right? And one of the things that we've been doing with like our off the record series, where we kind of just talk about anything. It's not like a news thing that prompts us. It's just anything. We've been starting to go down different prompts, just like things like, what was the last time? And obviously a lot of it's comedy. It's like, would you do this? Would you rather this? Or when was the last time this? But a lot of them, for me personally, as a co-host, I took my Soulversations game and it's on the desk in JK's News. And so I actually personally, I flip through the cards every now and then to pull inspiration on things that will lead to those conversation starters. Because again, at the end of the day, like, even that show is about human connections. We don't fucking report the news. It's a jump off point. But at the end of the day, it's about people, being very, very clear and expressive with their opinions on things in a joking and safe space, because they're amongst their friends. You're almost like just sitting in, listening to a bunch of homies talk. It's jokes, but at the same time, people want to connect to human beings. And so for me, what I like to bring to the table is like that honest, like, again, I'm close with all y'all. I see y'all all the time, but we would never talk about these things. So I have my Soulversations on my desk right there at the office, and just want to let you know that shit's really influential and empowering. Anybody who is a team leader, a part of a team, a church group, a basketball team, a youth group, an adult group, Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't give a shit.
Oh no!
I genuinely believe that,
actually, yes.
that this game is amazing, but at the end of the day, like, conversation and just being able to like be prompted to make you feel safe to share yourself and be vulnerable is a very, very, very helpful and important thing. It's made us all better people and stuff. But Soulversations, what, like, straight plug, where can people get this? Because I genuinely believe every team leader in the world should get this.
Soulversationsgame.com. And then it's based off of like the way we moved on from the beta is it's the questions around courage, compassion, and wonder are the three themes, and then there's the connections one, which is like the different icebreakers that you play, shout out to Blue Jenny. Jenny Chen, she did the whole palette, colors, decks, brought it to life.
All community members.
It was all community member based
Yeah,
built because
100.
it was just gonna be cards
For
forever
sure.
until
Amazing.
Yeah.
it was built into a game. And so
And if you want to be Pat Cruz level, just if
Yeah.
it's too shallow, just
Yeah,
chuck that
just-
card. You know,
Shake, shake.
just
JK
Soulversation.
News.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yo, but yes, the impact of Soulversation cards alone.
Yeah. That definitely impacted my life. That was the first crusade. Nope, that was the second crusade.
Yeah, that's not the first. No, that was like the third or something.
That was the
like
third
that.
crusade.
Third
But
crusade.
All the crusades that we don't have
Yeah.
Mhm.
were very impactful for me. But so I think, as you guys, I'm learning about the story of Eayikes and Homey made meals for the first time ever. This is really
Wow.
cool. And I know that this is a sort of an infinite game. This isn't something that just like, yeah, there was a project, we're done, there's an end date to it. Unfortunately, because there are things that just still exist, and people like you guys, organizations like you guys are committed to doing that lifelong work. And when there is no end date to something, it's an infinite thing, unfortunately, something like this. But I look at this as, when there's, as much as there's good, there's bad. As much as there's bad, there's good, right?
Yeah, 100.
And that's what you guys are here to do, to keep pushing forward what humanity can do. And so success, I think, is something that's an infinite game. I think. But everybody has a different definition of success, right? Success, if I make $1 million, I'm successful. But like, what if you don't make $1 million? Are you unsuccessful? Or, I need to feed this many people. If you miss that by one, are you unsuccessful? So like, and I'd love to hear literally just, straight up from both of you guys, with what your guys' endeavors are, what you guys personally define success as. Bring in professional, bring in humanitarian goals. Like, I'd love to hear how you guys define success.
Yeah. There you go. What you got? I got.
Yeah,
Sonia's over here
Yeah, you look like you're ready to go.
headbanging.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you're ready to
I'm
go.
never ready. I'm never ready.
Ray's like, yeah.
But I will go just for the cause. I invest in people. And if the people resonate in alignment to me, that is how I know that my purpose is fulfilled. So yeah, like I think people usually have like a monetary number or some sort of reference point into like, this is how I reach my goal. But at least for me, I've actually learned that like that's kind of subjective. Like, you can reach a certain number, but then you'll always want more. So I've released that part of my life, and I've wanted to always invest in the people and their quality of human being. And once I found that group, that to me, that's all I really need. I don't know if that like fulfills your question, Ben, and if that's too vague for you or that's too vague for the listeners. But ultimately for me, it's not really about the numbers. It's really about the quality of human beings, because I don't think that's really valued a lot in today's world. Sometimes we just look for the numbers and how much you can X, Y, and Z and the product of what they can deliver. But if I see the potential in the person, I think that is, or I don't think, I know that is where I need to invest my energy into.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. That was hard.
Mm.
But I really had to.
I hope I was a good return on your investment.
man. You were, Anthony. Yes. But yes, ultimately, it's really about the people.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And it's a lot of the times, like, our world is based on the product or what you put on paper on your resume.
Yeah, it
But
totally is.
It is,
Yeah.
right? And And I want to go beyond that. Like, what is something that you could extract from the person, which is it's impossible to learn on words on paper, which is very tangible and physical. What is something that's more intuitive? And that is what I want to invest in, because I feel like a lot of folks need that too.
I love that.
Where you at, Ray?
Yeah.
Where you at, Ray?
Battle now. She just called you out, bro. Can you top that answer?
Jig it.
Yeah, no,
Pass
thank
to
you.
Ray.
Yeah, I think Sonia encapsulates a lot of it, right? I think one thing as I get older is my relationship to like the concept of ambition. And like, I think for me more like ambition is like, I always used to like want to attain, to reach, and I think it's shifted more as I've gotten older and experienced more of life. And I think success for me is like to continue to just have progression and evolution tied to the values that are important to me in the way that I want to live. And I get to do that already. So in a lot, I don't want to say like, oh, I'm successful, but in that way I feel fulfilled, right? And I want to do that for my life, and I want to like learn. I think learning is a big part of success for me, and it's a way that I can keep my childlike wonder through life, because I can continue to watch and to learn and be a student, whether you're a kid in my class or you're somebody that I'm talking to on the street. I think that piece of building that and never being that wonder, because I think ultimately for me, I want to be a mirror to people, and just like show them that like you're enough the way that you are. And I don't think that there's a greater feeling that I feel when someone acknowledges that, or that gets unlocked, or they get to experience that. And so on like the EIKS tip, if I was to connect that on like the EIKS level, like our big goal is to be an intergenerational community, to provide like an experience of care for someone that is a young person, a child, all the way to like you're an elder in the community and you can share that wisdom through. And so like in an EIKS sense, I think it's much more concrete. Like we want to have land that we want to build retreats on, to have people to spend time, to connect, to be with community, to be with nature. We have our community center now, the second house that we're moving into, which is going to be the pantry, our community space. And then we'll have our office there. And then my personal one is I want to have like a storytelling production piece.
Let's go! Vibrancy, we're coming for you.
She's just pointing at Chad right now. All on Chad.
Vibrancy. JK, my bad.
Coming from the fact that Ray already mentioned that Sonia's the one in the room, like, no, this is what we're doing. I'm not taking anything at JK level with Sonia.
No.
Like, vibrancy, they are coming for you.
I'm just manifesting. If vibrancy is aligning to that ethos, then I can't help it.
So good. Slash, if anybody out there has extra land and is aligning with this ethos, like, you know?
We do. Well, we do have like prospective land from one of our community members. That's like pretty big space in Malibu. So
Let's
it's in the
go.
It's in the very like early manifestation to like till the land and, you know, have a big garden out there, spaces for people to go.
So if anybody wants to donate to their cause in order to supply the land, you know, there it is.
Shake. Contact us.
Look at the foot. Look at the pointed toe. If you're listening on the podcast, go to the YouTube video just so you can see her pointed toe.
That's how you know it's serious.
Oh my God. Chad has been unlocked.
JK. But for real.
That's amazing.
No, yeah,
and I'm so
dope.
glad that, you know, one, you shared that, and two, like, you know, I totally believe in manifesting, throwing stuff out in the air. Like, Ben knows me. I say I joke, but am I ever joking? You know what
Always
I mean?
half joking, half joke.
Everything's a half
The dream
true.
has to come like right in the
Yeah, the joke's inspired by the dream, you know?
Yeah.
But
it has to be
like,
realistic.
I really, really, really like pray so hard that everything that you guys want, you guys get, because what you're doing is so needed. Low-key, we don't necessarily need another fucking successful influencer, But what we need is people who truly influence people to do better for themselves, and like that's what y'all are doing. And I can't just be honored enough to have you here to share that story, and hope that anybody out there listening gets even a grain of something, some form of inspiration from this, because y'all's work has been one of the most influential things on my own life, and like directly to Kinjaz. So I say it like 3 times this damn episode. It is what it is, you know.
Wow, Kinjaz big.
So we're about to hire you to do all of our jingles for everything that we do. Well, we can't let you guys leave without lightning rounding you guys for a little bit. So we're gonna fire out some questions at you guys and just let's get with it. Lightning round, 3, 2, 1. What is your favorite fast food restaurant?
In-N-Out, bitch.
I'm gonna go In-N-Out. I'm gonna go In-N-Out.
Oh, sorry. In-N-Out, friends.
Oh my god,
Yeah, friends.
that's
In-N-Out,
so good.
friends.
In-N-Out.
What is your go-to meal that you can cook and impress somebody with?
Go right.
Sonya,
Go fucking side. I'm gonna say kimchi jjigae.
Ooh, that
I'm a Korean.
hits my
so,
soul.
Yeah, I'll hit you with the salty, sweet, tangy.
Do you put
like,
spam in it? Oh, that's
protein of choice, baby. Let's go.
I'm a
First of
spam
all,
guy.
I don't. Yeah,
Sonya's
I don't
Korean
discriminate.
food is so good.
Oh, dude. Okay.
kimchi jjigae, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
Since moving into Boyle Heights, shout out to my fiance Joan. I could do carne asada and ceviche.
Oh,
yeah.
OMG.
Yeah, so-
I know it's not a competition, but wow.
I'm squiggly right now. I'm squiggly.
Squiggly.
Let's go. All right, I'll go.
Who is or was the most inspirational person in your life?
I'm gonna say he's still present. So my pops, I think it's just something that's always with. And one of my friends said, because his mom had passed, like, you don't understand, but when your parents pass, they'll be even closer than you understand it. That's very much so within all of the thoughts and the decision making and the process. So
I don't have like a really close person who passed away in my life as of yet, so I can't say that. But just based on how I've grown up and how I had to just adjust in my life.
He said most inspirational, not
most
dead inspirational.
No, hey, yo. I
Can
just
be
try
alive.
to,
Yes.
I just try to like build up to this. Now it's just too built up now, and I just have to say it now. But it's me.
You are the most. I love that.
I
I love
would
it.
say-
I love
okay,
it.
hold
Yeah.
on. I would say me because I didn't have a lot of role models growing up, and I just had to figure it out. And
That's what's up.
and I'm not perfect, but
Respect yourself.
I had to figure it out, and I am literally the most influential person in my life right now.
I love that answer. Love
And if that offends
answer.
somebody, I'm sorry.
Shing, shing, Sonya P.
Shing, Sonya P. My bad.
What is a dream case scenario for Eayikes and or Homey made meals to be able to achieve?
I'll go first. Homey made meals. We want an app.
An app.
We want an app.
Oh, I thought you said nap.
Oh, that too.
Because we are
take
Yo,
care
we
of our
working
members.
so hard.
No, but we want an app. So if you're a developer and
What would that app do?
it will schedule our volunteers. It will send all the information to the respectives. It will, just create a community within the site on the palm of your hand. So we're actually working with a volunteer who will help us get there from phase 1, but we definitely need more people to help us, manifest that. So Homey Made Meals app.
Let's go.
I love it.
Sick.
It'll help us so much.
I would say I love if you're a fan of film, like A24 films.
Ooh,
Huge
let's
fan.
get
So
it.
we can have some production on that like
I love
creative,
A24
stylistic
films. Yeah.
level. That would be. I mean, that's shooting the bar really high. I don't even. But
Put it out there.
let's just put it out there.
out there.
Put it
Pew,
out
pew, pew.
there.
Oh
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
What is the biggest problem you want to fix?
This is like lightning and
Yeah,
thunder
yeah,
question.
yeah,
I'm
lightning
sitting here
storm.
like,
I'm
ooh.
just,
okay, yeah.
you know, these are
Right.
things I just really want to know.
That you are the source of your own problem.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I will go, with people's worthiness.
Yeah,
You are worthy.
it's all you.
Love that. Love that.
Bombs in here, dude.
Prescribe something to the world, something that everybody should do once a day. What is that?
You, this is.
I will go with meditate.
Yeah.
Meditate.
Really?
Like meditate, and not in terms of like you don't need to do that.
Nothing
shit.
wrong with that,
No.
though.
Yeah.
Nothing
Not
wrong
that
with
there's
that.
anything wrong with that. No.
We got a
But
lot of
sometimes
Om
it feels
community.
disconnecting. Like sometimes it feels like, oh, I can't get to that point, so I'm not just gonna try it at all. But meditate in terms of just being by yourself without any stimulant.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a form of meditation. Whatever that means to you for whatever time. It could be seconds, it could be minutes, right? But you are investing in yourself without any stimulants. And I think you can learn a lot about yourself in those.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I would say however long, however short to write, to release your words, because your thoughts are power, your words are power. They're
Let's
leads
go.
to your actions and your habits and to the manifestation. So whichever way you can get it, just write a little something.
Speaking of words, do you still rap?
Oh man, it's actually
Oh
that.
my god, let's go.
Let's go. It's taken the form more of writing now. Sonia, come on, what are you looking at me?
Sonia seems like she's peer pressuring you
She
to
looks
do
like she's
something.
about to
That's the
beatbox
only-
right now.
I
That's
can't.
She looks like she's
Sonia,
about to beatbox.
I don't even. It's.
She looks like she's gonna beatbox, and
What
it
do you want?
sounds
What do you
like
want me to?
it sounds like you might.
Oh, yeah.
That was 5, 6, 7, 8.
We got Sonia on the box. I beat the rocks. Go ahead and turn the door. You got a lock, but I haven't freestyled in a few other years. I had to drink some liquor, so I chose the clear. But you know, sometimes I get kind of drunk, but that's okay, cause I got good luck. And Sonia's still going, and she's chilling with her breath. Hopefully she don't pass out and reach death, but I don't
Sorry. I just passed.
What just happened?
Okay,
right
I don't
now?
even.
I've always loved Ray's raps, man. This is one of the sickest lyricists. And we always put him on the spot, and he always
I have
delivers.
not done
Always
any
delivers.
type of rapping in years.
Dude, for like 20 years, you've always delivered.
I
bro.
wish you could have. I
But-
could have. Yeah.
If you're a good comber, you'll find a video of Ray and Mike just doing their hip hop thing.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
Mike. Mike made me feel so cool.
But
Yeah.
maybe we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah,
This is our new
I
co-host.
see how she runs Eayikes and Homey made meal.
Yeah,
She's like, yeah, Vibrancy, we're gonna put it in the show notes now.
Our new
The show
producer
notes.
/ co-host, Sonia
Oh
Parker.
my gosh.
Just JK. I need to drink some more water.
Some more water. Are you sure that's water?
Kids.
Nah, this is such a good time, man. This is such a good time. So what you guys have put in years of, your heart, your blood, sweat, and tears into creating something that you probably didn't know that it would even end up looking like this, right? You just started with something that inspired you, something that you felt was near and dear to your heart in terms of just building community, making people feel seen, known, fed. And so there's something even with what you guys have built that I'm sure you guys have learned a whole lot, right? The hours that you've put into learning about different communities and things like that. So Bruce Lee once said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. So the concept of putting that much focus, that much time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears into just one single thing, whether that be a thought, whether that be actual physical practice, mastery, I think comes in all kinds of forms. I mean, I think everybody has the ability to master something. What is something that you guys feel even individually and as an organization have mastered?
Sonya's
said
like
the same-
beatboxing.
Sonya's now gonna freestyle.
I'm asking my shing.
I think Sonya said it a while ago. I think we've mastered investing in people and realizing
Yes.
the space and how to give people. And it's something Sonya teaches me consistently because I think you do so much and you're in so many different organizations, and the way that you empower people, the way that you are a servant leader within all those things, I think that has upped our expertise within EIKS. But you also do that, yes, for Richstone, for Culture Shock, and you're gonna do it for Kinjaz Podcast now as their producer.
Yes.
Just kidding.
We're not kidding.
Yeah.
We could use some more beatboxers on our show.
Oh, for sure.
That was we should leave that as a beat for a second. That's amazing.
Yeah, let that breathe for a
Like,
minute. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Invest
this.
in
I love
people.
y'all.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And not a lot of organizations do that naturally or intuitively, and that is what I want to continually invest in. And what comes up as like this cyclical pattern as I continue to invest in the people is I want to invest in myself. So the responsibility of healing your own shit, that's no one else's business but your own. So if you really love the people around you, and if you really love the ethos and the values that you are committing or putting your energy in, then you better put that same energy into yourself and put that same energy into healing your own trauma and your own generational shit. And that's only on you. So yeah,
Here.
do it with joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it with joy.
Do it with joy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because when you do it with darkness, it goes another way. So do it with ultimately with joy. And that's
Love
what
it.
Eayikes and Homey made meals reminds me each and every day. And I'm incredibly grateful.
Yeah. You guys are doing an incredible work in our community here, and I feel like this is just the beginning. I only see this spreading because I think that's what happens with love and with intention to serve. It only grows, you know what I mean? Because I think
100.
that it's just we can't get enough of that in our world, especially in the climate that we're trying to climb out of, and just want to acknowledge that dude, we're so blessed to even have you guys in this space to share the story, and because of what you guys are doing and the heart behind it and the initiatives that you guys already have in motion, it's actually making like tangible real life difference in the world. You're feeding people who need food that don't readily have it. You guys are doing that, but you guys are also bringing together community and letting people feel safe to be vulnerable in a gamified kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are it's just so smart in the way that you guys are trying to bring humanity back together, which is something that we need, especially in this time. And the fact that you have such close ties with Kinjaz, like we're all fam in this room, and the ability to be able to share your guys' story on this platform is a blessing to us. So just wanted to just thank you guys.
Thank
for
you
that.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Thank
for
you.
thank you for the
No, thank you.
Thank you. No, but thank you all for always moving with intention and moving with depth and moving with like a real soul throughout the journey of everything that y'all have done. That's very apparent, and that's I think for me, I didn't come up in like dance, and I didn't experience that. So when I got to UCI, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? This shit's crazy.
What is this?
Yeah. And then to see that like grow, right? From like being at Anbu Black Ops during shots, right? And like
we were on stage.
Yeah,
dude.
Let's
Special
get
ops right here.
it.
OG dog.
Yeah.
Let's
So to see
get
that,
it.
to see that and just see what conceptually
He's a
y'all
dude in
have
Cyber
grown.
Ninja Scroll who gets his nipples ripped off
Oh my god.
during the village murder scene
I
with
did.
Ace.
Yeah.
OMG.
but-
Not know
Yeah,
that.
it was a joy to be able to witness that, right? And then to see these different ties of like the humanity and the even the principles that you all work and operate on. It's beautiful and like if you're a fan, if you're part of the, people that follow them, like these are the people to follow.
Thank you, man.
Wow, dude, thank you, man. Well, speaking of follow, like how can people follow your guys' story, journey, initiatives, all that? Plug everything.
Let's get it, y'all. @ or in Korean terms, 골뱅이. In 골뱅이, we'll go Eayikes, and then 골뱅이 Homey made meals. And 골뱅이.
How do you spell Eayikes?
Eaykes.
Can you just share a quick
Yeah, what is the name?
background?
Like I've always
Yes,
wondered,
yes,
where
yes.
did Eayikes come from?
Yeah, so when
골뱅이 style.
we were back,
You're getting real Korean up there.
She's for real gonna fucking just co-host.
Hey,
dude.
I'm
She
from
gotta
K-Town.
come on for the next Kinjaz podcast.
Let's go.
when we were starting like filing all the nonprofit stuff and like creating it, to think about what it was, a lot of it is like your value base. So it actually came from engage, empower, inform, and inspire citizens of a community. So it's EEIICC, but we didn't want to just be like, let's just be EEIIC. So like, how does it turn into a word that can embody either a sense of like a spirit of an energy or a community? And so just created Eayikes from that.
And one more time, EEI.
The spelling?
Yeah, one more time, please.
Eaykes.
And what does that stand for, please? One more time.
Engage, empower, inform, and inspire citizens of a community.
Let's get it.
Hey! Love it. And then you guys have a camp that's coming up.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Wilder Wonder coming, so you can go to eikes.org from 13 to 20. And then we have scholarship spots. So if you have a brother, a sister, a kid, a cousin, a nephew, and niece that anybody that wants to come out, right? Whether they have no tent, no sleeping bag, no nothing, we'll
Just
provide.
come as you are.
Yeah, we'll
Come
provide
as you
transportation. We'll provide.
If you
a tent,
trust
all
me
that.
and Ray.
Yeah.
Off of this? I hope so.
And
get it.
also this is like annual too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for anybody, and you also even mentioned you do this for adults, you know, I'm
Yes.
bringing it back in July. So like really, I think that there's something for everyone, you know, should you seek it, especially with the EIKS community and Homey made meals and stuff. So yeah, really just, again, I've said it so many times, but Kinjaz wouldn't be who we are without, you know, y'all's just community, the inspiration you provide and stuff like that. So I really, really encourage anybody who's even thinking about maybe even being a part of it to take that step and have some fun with these amazing people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thank you. Yeah, just even if you need anything in general in life, just hit us up. Reach out. Send us a message. So
That's what's up. Well, we'll plug all of that stuff in the show notes. Again, just thank you guys so much for coming on and spending time with us and sharing the stories of the amazing things you guys are doing in the community. And yeah, we're just blessed to know you guys. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
y'all.
And
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you're listening or watching, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're finding us for the first time, we have a lot of incredible episodes that came before this. So make sure you hop onto your podcast platform, subscribe, like us, leave us a 5-star rating, write us a review, screenshot us, let us know that you're listening. We love regramming, all that stuff. And we just appreciate your guys' time for stopping in. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Boom.
Kinjaz bags.
You heard it.
Let's
You
get
heard
We
it.
need to get the audio clip of just that put at the end of every pod.
How many shing shing XYZs did you do today? You shing shinged everything today.
Just so fun.
Shing shing bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
Bathroom break.
Shing, shing.